Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hail Mary. Hope you had a beautiful weekend. And just so you guys remember, the Hail Mary is the only sports show that is a sports show. I don't know the rest of it. You guys probably do. So we had a pretty decent weekend in sports. We actually had good NFL preseason action. Never thought I would ever say that in my life. But there was some big news that went on. Shedeur Sanders balled out. Cam Little, what he did. Jackson Dart looked well. Then you had players like Quinn Ewers and Graham Mertz. We'll talk about that. Tom Brady had a statue revealed of himself. We'll talk about that. The Yankees had their Old Timer game, and Roger Clemens gave a new rule proposal to the MLB. Jen Powell became the first woman to become a umpire in the MLB. And then this morning as well, I wasn't going to talk about this, but this is huge news. The UFC signed a huge deal, huge, $7 billion. We'll talk about that and everything that's going to happen with that big deal, and Dana White getting even more richer than he actually is. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about NFL preseason, because it was a pretty decent week for NFL preseason, all things considered. So yeah, let's start it off with the biggest news probably of the entire preseason that everybody's talking about, and that is Shedeur Sanders, where he actually went out there and looked like a competent, good quarterback. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he was playing against Carolina, but like it also doesn't matter to me, because that was his first ever time seeing NFL-style action, and he made little mistakes. I mean, he didn't turn the ball over, so that's good. I mean, yeah, he missed a couple throws, but you expect every rookie to just make every single throw? Absolutely not. Peyton Manning has the record for most interceptions, so I'm not saying that Shedeur Sanders is Peyton Manning, but he went out there, he threw 2 touchdown passes, 138 yards. He looked good on the ground. He looked poised in the pocket. He didn't look like a 5th-round pick to me. Now, did he look like a 1st-round pick? No, but he didn't look like a 5th-round pick, so the Browns may have gotten the absolute steal of the draft. And a lot of people thought that this was the Browns throwing him into this spot just so he can fail, so they have a reason to get rid of him, because apparently some players or some coaching members on the Browns didn't want Shedeur Sanders, so they kind of thrust him into this position to fail. I don't believe that that's true at all, because he was going to get playing time anyway, and Kenny Pickett's hurt, Dylan Gabriel's hurt. You're not going to play Joe Flacco because Joe Flacco's hurt, and Tyler Huntley literally just signed last week. So Shedeur Sanders was quite literally the only quarterback who was available who knew the entire offense. So people saying that the Browns thrust him into that position for him to fail, I think is a very stupid argument. Do I believe that there are some coaching members that didn't want Shedeur Sanders? Absolutely, but I don't think they are blatantly setting him up to fail. And even if they were, they did a bad job of it, because he went out there and he actually showed that he could be a competent quarterback in the NFL. No interceptions, 138 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. His 1 touchdown pass was an absolute dime. So if the Browns are setting Shedeur up to fail, they're doing a horrible job. Shedeur looked very good. Not like a 1st-round quarterback, but also not like a 5th-round quarterback. He looked very good, in my opinion. Jackson Dart yesterday threw a bomb. I don't know too much about that whole situation. The only thing that I saw was the announcers who were calling that game as Jackson Dart threw that beautiful touchdown pass didn't even acknowledge it, like, at all. If you find that clip, they're talking about something, Jackson Dart throws a touchdown pass, and the guy in the booth doesn't even acknowledge that he threw a touchdown pass. He just keeps talking about whatever. So that was pretty stupid. And I think aside from Shedeur Sanders absolutely balling out, Cam Little, are you freaking kidding me? So I was watching the game at a friend's house, and we were watching it on, I don't even know, with like a Fire Stick or something like that. The game was behind by like 5 minutes. It was so weird. And my friend looks at us and goes, boys, we may just see an NFL record. And we're like, what are you talking about right now? Like, it looked like the Jags were about to go in the halftime. He's like, I think their kicker just kicked a 70-yard field goal. We're like, shut up, you're making that up. Because we didn't think that we were that far behind. I mean, he was absolutely right because Cam Little kicked a 70-yard field goal. 70. That is absurd. And I hope that this isn't just one of those things that it's like, it's preseason, get him a chance. I want to see this kid attempt a 70-yard field goal in an actual NFL game. I want to see him break the record because that ball looked like it may have been good from like 73 yards. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. I hated that it happened against the Steelers, but I cannot believe it. The evolution of where kicking has gone in the NFL, Justin Tucker leads the league, and now we got guys who are like, all right, I'm going to take his spot. And Cam Little rose to the occasion for that. Absolutely insane. A 70-yard field goal, and it would have been good. It's not like it just barely squeaked in. It would have been good from 73, 74 yards. In freaking sane. Does this mean that we're going to see more just wild kicks in the NFL? Like, is Aubrey going to try a kick like this now? I mean, Cam Little obviously showed that he can do it, and they did it in Jacksonville as well. Imagine if he was in Mile High. Jeez, it probably could have been good from 80. Like, I loved it. I love where this game is going from a special teams level, except for the kickoffs. The kickoffs are stupid still. I absolutely hate them. They're dumb as shit. And, but yeah, Cam Little, holy mother of God. What a bomb. What a bomb. I loved it. So sick. And he better attempt it in an actual NFL game. He better. And then, well, you know what's going to happen? I was going to end this segment, but it got me thinking. Remember when Lane Kiffin wanted Sebastian Janikowski to try like what? It was like an 80-yard field goal. Or it may have been from that distance as well, and he just absolutely shanked it. And then after that game, Lane Kiffin got fired. I think we're going to see some of that. I think whoever can, well, I guess they won't fire Liam Cohen now. But maybe they will. Maybe they're going to be in a spot where Cam Little can kick a 75-yard field goal. He's going to absolutely shank it. The other team's going to return for a touchdown. Liam Cohen, in his first year as head coach, he's canned. He's fired. That would be a hell of a way to lose your job. Lane Kiffin already did it, though. But yeah, I want to see more absolute piss missiles in fantasy football. For fantasy football purposes, I want to get 12 points on a single kick. So let's get that going. Next up, let's talk about the GOAT. Tom Brady had a statue unveiled at Gillette Stadium, and there were mixed reviews about it. A lot of people thought that the proportions of it were ugly. Some people said like the head was weird. Listen, I wasn't really delving too deep into what it looked like, but it's a 12-foot bronze statue, and in total, it is a 17-foot tall statue with the base. So the actual Tom Brady part is 12 foot tall. It weighs 12,000 pounds. The actual statue part is 1,800, and the base is 10,000 pounds, which is absurd. They made it that tall because number 12, so it's a 12-foot statue for number 12, Tom Brady, and then 17 feet overall is a nod to him winning 17 AFC East titles. And then the hexagonal base, people thought was to represent his 6 Super Bowl wins. It is for that, but it is also to represent the 6 New England states. So there's something you probably didn't know about the statue. Sculptor Jeff Jeff Bucaccio, I don't know how to say his name, a Massachusetts native and a Pats fan. He spent 20,000 hours on it, and he wanted it to be larger than life, like Tom Brady is. During the ceremony, he said that it was quite overwhelming, which, thinking about it, I don't think if I was, listen, I will never be a professional athlete ever in my life, but I've been to a statue unveiling. I was in Los Angeles for the Dustin Brown statue unveiling, and that was a larger than life moment. I don't think if I was a professional athlete and I was still alive, I would want to see a statue of myself. I feel like that would be just so freaking weird. I feel like anybody who genuinely enjoys it is the biggest narcissist of all time. I don't think I could physically sit there and watch myself get unveiled as a statue. I think that is incredibly weird. But that's just me. Listen, I get it. Maybe it's like, oh, this is a culmination of my life's work. I don't know. I don't think I would want to do that. But Tom Brady did say that it was quite overwhelming. He joked that his draft stock in slow 40 time, he was joking about that and reflecting on his journey being pick 199 to an NFL legend. Fan reaction to this. First of all, if I was Drake May and I had to play with Tom Brady staring over me, that would be the scariest thing of all time. I have a feeling that if Drake May ever throws an interception, the eyes are going to glow red and probably stare into Drake May's soul because he makes a mistake on that field. But the overall fan reaction from it, fans were giving it like a B- grade. They were saying it's like an 80 out of 100, which whatever. Some people said they loved the symbolism of it and everything that went into it, like the 12 foot and it's 17 foot tall and then the hexagonal. I get that. The symbolism of that is cool. Other people were critiquing the proportions of it. People were saying the head looked too big, or I don't know. It's a statue, whatever, you know. People were mostly freaking out about Antonio Brown, which if you're getting mad about an Antonio Brown tweet, you're just feeding into what he wants to do. Antonio Brown said that it looked like Jeffrey Dahmer, which is actually very funny. That caused backlash and whatever, but listen, it's Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown right now, I don't even think is making his own tweets. He is just pumping out rhetoric that he sees on Twitter so he can get money because he fled the country because he allegedly tried to kill a man. And now he's in like Saudi Arabia or something right now. And the value of the dollar over there is much more, is much higher. So he can live off of just Twitter money. And he is just stealing tweets from other people and posting them as his own. And so he probably saw a viral tweet of somebody saying it looked like Jeffrey Dahmer. He stole it for himself. That's a whole different thing, though. But yeah, people were breaking it down, saying that they didn't like the statue, but they liked the symbolism of it. I get it. That was just some of the biggest news that happened this week. I could care less. The only thing that I thought about was I would not want my own statue if I was still alive, because I feel like that would be incredibly weird to have to unveil. So, yeah, that's about it. Moving on, let's talk about the Yankees Old Timer game. This was the 77th edition of the Yankee Old Timer game, where they do like an on-field alumni game. This was the first time since 2019, and it was a throwback game, not just a ceremony. So they celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Yankees' 2000th World Series win, and some of the biggest names were on stage. You know, they had Andy Pettitte, Bernie Williams, Roger Clemens, Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter. Wasn't there, but he was there over a video, which, you know, you are the biggest name in Yankee history. Even though I think Derek Jeter is one of the most overrated players of all time, I'm pretty sure that you should probably be there. So a few of the biggest things that happened. First, Roger Clemens, I made a video about this. Roger Clemens said that there needs to be a new rule in baseball which ties your starting pitcher to your DH. So Roger Clemens thinks that pitchers are not going deep enough into games. He thinks because of this new analytical game, Moneyball, we're pulling pitchers way too early, which I kind of get. Pitchers, on average right now, starting pitchers, are only averaging 4.2 innings per game, which, you know, for all the money that they're making is a little bit, you know, not really the best. So he thinks that you should have to tie your starting pitcher to your DH, meaning if you pull your starting pitcher before the 7th inning, you lose your DH. So say, for example, Shohei Ohtani is the DH for the Dodgers, and Clayton Kershaw is in a game and he's getting rocked in the 1st inning. If the Dodgers pull Clayton Kershaw, they would retroactively lose Shohei Ohtani for the rest of the game as well. I don't hate that idea. Honestly, I don't. The only thing is you got to think about it from a fact that it's like, well, if a pitcher's getting rocked, wouldn't managers just then have them fake an injury? Because then it's like, well, I'm not pulling him because he's doing bad. I'm pulling him because he's hurt. Like, how would the MLB handle a situation like that? But I like the idea, because then it's then it's like, oh, you lose your DH, so you have to hit your pitcher, which that would make managers think like, hey, I got my ace on the bump, I can have Ohtani as my DH. But like a guy who's making like his second career start, it's like, hey, Shohei, we need you to play the field, because if this guy's getting rocked in his second ever start, we may pull him early and we still want you in the game. It would make Ohtani earn his money a little bit more. He'd actually have to play the field and stuff. So I don't hate that idea. I think that it would cause players to fake injuries more, which I don't know how the MLB would fix that. I guess it would just be like, hey, you lose them to injury, you lose them just by pulling them, you lose your DH, which I guess that could get a little bit muddy and messy, because like, what if a guy takes a liner off the fucking face? Then it's like, well, I guess it, and I wouldn't want it to be up to the umpire's discretion, because these umpires don't get anything right, which we'll talk about next with the whole Jen Powell situation. Very funny situation. But yeah, that was something that got brought up. I made a video about it. I don't hate the idea. I just don't know how the MLB could properly execute it. The next thth that happened was Mariano Rivera, during their game, because they do the exhibition game on the field, Mariano Rivera tore his Achilles. Absolutely brutal. I mean, didn't this guy tear his Achilles or like tear his ACL shagging fly balls before a game before? I think it was like a playoff game, wasn't it? So yeah, I think it's good that this man is retired, because that sucks. You go there for a celebration just to have fun, you tear your Achilles. That absolutely sucks for Mariano Rivera. So I have a feeling that he'll rehab, he'll be fine, but I don't think he's ever going to participate in this game again, because yeah, he's how old? In his 50s, maybe 60s? I have no idea. But yeah, that absolutely sucks for Mariano Rivera. So I kind of gave you a little hint as to me talking about how umpires are I don't want anything under their discretion. So let's talk about the first female umpire ever in the MLB, because people were freaking out about this topic yesterday on Twitter, and I loved it. It was very funny. So the MLB 2 days ago on August 9th had the first female umpire working behind the plate. Jen Powell, she became the first woman umpire in a regular season game, where in a doubleheader, she worked first base and third base, and then the day after, she worked behind home plate. A little backstory about Jen Powell. She was born in New Jersey. She played softball and baseball. She played Division I softball, and she made the U.S. women's baseball team in 2001. She became the first ever woman umpire in 150 years of the game. Commissioner Rob Manfred praised her, and she donated her game-used hat to the Hall of Fame. Now, here's where people were freaking out. Her first pitch that he saw. Oh, shit. Oh, I'm already part of the problem. The first pitch that she saw, clearly a ball. And she called it a strike. Everybody on Twitter was like, oh, she's fitting in just fine being an MLB umpire. Very funny to see that, because the ball was maybe 3 inches inside and she called a strike. My take on this, though, due to the gravity of the moment and due to the historical significance of what was going on, I feel they told her, even if the ball is anywhere within a foot, outside, inside, high, low, wherever, you call that pitch a strike. Because they wanted the first pitch to be a strike, because then it's more commemorative for them to take that ball, put it in the Hall of Fame, or give it, it's the same thing that happened. What was it? Like, it was the last time Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina caught each other. Like, the ball that was thrown a few inches outside, and they still called it a strike. I truly think that they straight up told Jen Powell, like, hey, if it is within a foot of the plate, you call a strike. The only way you call a ball is if it goes over the backstop or if it hits the ground and bounces in. I even think if they told her if it bounces in, you call a strike. But I think just because of the historical significance, because of the actual game, I mean, the Marlins were playing. Who the fuck cares about the Marlins? They straight up told her, they're like, call a strike. Because then we could just give you that ball and then business as usual. Now, listen, hand up to me. I know nothing else about what happened with her, with the rest of the game, because quite literally, again, it's a Marlins game. I don't give two shits about the Marlins. I wasn't watching that game whatsoever. Cool for Jen Powell. It's an awesome moment. I'm not watching a fucking Marlins game. They could have O.J. Simpson reincarnated behind the plate, calling balls and strikes. I ain't watching a goddamn Marlins game. So, good for her. It was very funny, though, seeing that first pitch on Twitter where it was clearly a ball and she called a strike and everybody's like, well, here we go. Like, it's so funny. So freaking funny. But again, I think if the pitch was anywhere remotely close, they told her to call it strike. And she did exactly that. So she's already taking orders well that they make you do in the MLB because you know how that goes. You know that Rob Manfred doesn't know what he's doing when he's running a baseball organization, or not an organization, league. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's running a league. I'll tell you that for a fact. So yeah, that was very funny to watch. Before we get to our final topic, I want to give a big shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Yes, I love Underdog so much, and you can get up to $1,000 in a deposit match, plus a free 0.5 pick when you sign up using my code HMM. And a lot of you are probably asking, Hail Mary, what's a free 0.5 pick? Well, it's like you get Aaron Judge only needing one plate appearance. So it's over 0.5 plate appearances. So basically, he just needs to step into the box, and that's about it, and you win. Or it's like Jaden Daniels needs to throw one single yard, and you win. That is what you get when you sign up for Underdog using the code HMM. You get a free 0.5 pick and up to $1,000. 1000 in a deposit match just by signing up and using the code HMM. Again, I love Underdog. I use it all the time during football season, usually towards like the biggest games of baseball season. When we get to like the nitty-gritty games and I'm actually watching, I have a little skin on the game. I want to throw a little home run action on there sometimes, a little hit action, a little strikeout action. You get what I'm saying. So yes, I love Underdog so much. So use the code HMM when you sign up. Get yourself a $1,000 deposit match and a free 0.5 pick. Thank you so much, Underdog. Code HMM. Moving on to our final topic that just happened today. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but it is some of the biggest news that's actually happening. The UFC and Dana White have gotten paid 7 years. They just signed a 7-year, $7.7 billion with a B, exclusive U.S. media rights deal in 2026 with CBS and Paramount Plus. What is changing with this $7.7 billion with a B, billion-dollar deal? Goodbye pay-per-views. The UFC is getting rid of their pay-per-view model. So now all you have to do is pay for Paramount Plus, and you will be getting all 13 UFC marquee events, plus you will be getting 30 fight nights per year on Paramount Plus, and some events are even going to simulcast on CBS. This is huge because the old model, you would have to have paid $80 for a pay-per-view. First, you had to get ESPN Plus, then you had to pay $80 just to watch the actual pay-per-view. That is no more. You pay for Paramount Plus, you get every single fight possible. All the marquee events, all the fight nights, and this is huge. We've seen other organizations, the WWE did this. They went away from their style. Before it was pay-per-view, it was $60 for a pay-per-view. Then they made it where all you had to do was pay for the WWE Network. You got everything. You got their backlog catalog. You got all their pay-per-view events, and this is absolutely huge. And now the UFC is doing the same thing, which it makes sense because the UFC and the WWE are linked into the same company, TKO Group. So, yeah, they are getting absolutely paid right after Disney just secured the WWE. And now we have the UFC going to Paramount. And this is a huge deal for fight fans and even casual fans now. Casual fans, unless there was like a Conor McGregor fighting, a John Jones fighting, guys weren't wanting to pay $80 to watch, yeah, you would probably know who was in the main event, but it wasn't worth paying $80 for it. Now, if you're a casual fight fan, it's like, hey, $15 a month, I get to watch everything. This is going to help grow the sport because now more casual fans are willing to pay $15 a month instead of paying $15 a month for ESPN Plus and then an additional $80 to watch a pay-per-view. So this is going to help the sport tremendously. One of the biggest issues, though, is people think that there's going to be some sort of revolt with the fighters unless the UFC can really change up their model of how they're going to pay out these bonuses. Because the big name fighters, if you were in the main event, you got paid based off of pay-per-view buys. So a lot of these big names, John Jones, Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, like they got paid based off of how many people actually bought the pay-per-view. So they were pulling in an extra $5 million sometimes on top of their fight purse. There's no pay-per-view structure anymore. So how are these guys going to get paid this payout? Are they going to get a percentage of everybody that tunes in? Are they, how is it going to work out? Are they going to pay out just like a flat fee for being in the main event? I feel that this could get ugly because a lot of fighters are going to be like, hey, with this new model, there's more eyes on the product, but my paychecks are lower. Are we going to see some fighters kind of revolt and go to and maybe make their own fighting championship league? Maybe go to a different organization that still does a pay-per-view model. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I just know that it may not benefit the fighters, but this absolutely benefits the fans. But the fans are going to be upset if the UFC loses their biggest name fighters because of the new model. So I have a feeling that Paramount and Dana White have worked something out because fighters are going to revolt. They're not going to want to work if they're getting obviously less money. And there's going to be more eyes on the product. Like a pay-per-view that may have had 10 million buyers is now probably going to have 30 million viewers, but they're not watching via pay-per-view. They're watching via Paramount Plus. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. But I really love this. I love the fact that I don't have to pay $80 anymore. And this also, I think, is part of the war because the UFC and that thou shall not be named. I don't want to give them free game for the UFC to. But these online streaming for free piracy services, the UFC has been in a war with them for years. And I think this is another reason why they're getting rid of the pay-per-view model to help combat, people. It's like, would I rather watch for free on one of these sites that, it can crash, it can be a little bit buggy, like because of the bandwidth issues? Or would I rather just pay the $15 a month and I get to watch it in crystal clear HD, no lag problems, I get to see it exactly when it happens, there's no delay on the streaming end side. So that is another thing, another reason why I think that they were very, ready to sign a deal like this to get rid of the pay-per-view model to combat against these streaming websites. Thou shall not be named. I will not give the UFC free game to take them down, even though the UFC probably knows every single one of them, even more than I know. No free game, though. I ain't doing that. I ain't no snitch. I ain't no motherfucking snitch, Dana White. But if you give me a few $1 million, I will snitch. I will say anything. So, no questions this week from the Discord server. Yet again, my Discord server absolutely blows. The people in there are boring, and I need people to join the Discord server. Make sure you're joining if you actually want to talk about sports. Don't just join and just sit there. Listen, boring as shit. Nobody asks questions, and I'm ready to answer. Stupid. Everyone's lame. So let's just move on. As you guys know, every single week we do a no context top 5 where I give you the top 5 list. You have to tell me what the top 5 list is about. And if you get the top 5 list right, you get a shout out. And I said that as we, get much larger as a podcast, I may start giving away free merch items to people who get the no context top 5 list right. So let's just give you the list right now, and you in the comment section have to tell me what the list is. And I'm telling you right now, this one is very, very easy. So starting at the bottom, we have Gordie Howe. At number 4, we have Sidney Crosby. At number 3, we have Bobby Orr. At number 2, we have Mario Lemieux. And at number 1, we have the great one, Wayne Gretzky. So if you can tell me what the no context top 5 is, you get a shout out on the next video or on the next podcast on Friday. So yes, thank you to everybody who listened today. It was a pretty decent week in sports, and I'm hoping that this week is even better as we get closer and closer to football season. I am very, very excited. So hey, have a beautiful week, everybody. Make sure to follow me on all of my social platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. We are also on Spotify if you are watching this on YouTube. And if you're watching this, or if you're listening to this on Spotify, we are on YouTube. So hey, have a beautiful day, everybody. Make sure to follow us everywhere. Peace out. Have a beautiful week.